Hi everyone, it's Bernie here from Stampin' Up and welcome to my craft room this evening. I am making this scheduled video because I can't be live with you tonight. For those of you that follow me regularly, you'll know that hopefully by the time you're watching this, I am going to schedule it for my usual 7 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. Rich would have had his ear surgery, and so we are spending the night in Hamilton in New Zealand, and we will then travel back home on Wednesday morning, as long as the surgery's gone well. So I didn't want to leave you without some inspiration, and unfortunately my order from Stampin' Up did not arrive in time for this video to be made. So I am bringing you another project with the gorgeous Gallery Blooms suite. So sorry if you are getting a bit sick and tired of seeing me using it. I do love it, and I think there's so many opportunities that you can use it. So this is a fun fold. I will pop the name of the creator in the when I do the video editing for you to find her. She very kindly shared her measurements on her Instagram account, and so I do just want to give credit for that. A gorgeous fun fold that opens up like this, and then when you turn it around, you've got the back end where you can write your happy birthday, and then it stands up really nicely for a for you to actually be able to do a design. And of course I wanted to feature these beautiful papers that I love so much. So her measurements were both in inches and in centimeters, and I found this fold, the one in the middle, just a little bit I think 1 or 2 millimeters off. So let me give you the measurements. So you're going to cut it, these are all centimeters, 23.2 centimeters by 14.8. And then when you've got your piece of paper, you want to score 1 centimeter on either end, and then you want to take it and score it at 6.3 from either end. So I usually just turn the paper around and do the scoring, and then you are left with this lovely fold. Then you also need a piece of paper. So what I did the very first time, I actually cut this second, and I landed up wasting cardstock. So cut this piece first and then come and cut this, and you'll only use 1 sheet of A4 cardstock. 5 centimeters by 25 centimeters, scored at 5 centimeter intervals, and this is going to give you your mechanism that becomes your fun fold. Okay, so as you can see, like I mentioned last week, if you watched my mini album, when I do cards that involve scoring and anything else and albums, I always create myself a prototype piece on copy paper first before I go and cut up my cardstock. So I want to use the beautiful cloud cover. So I'm going to just bring in those score lines and just give them a good burnish. So the left hand one is coming out. Just want to make sure I'm in the camera. And then this one is coming over. Good burnish, and you're going to fold that in. So again, they do just seem to overlap ever so slightly, but you know what, I'm not going to be too stressed by that. Okay, so I went with a completely different color scheme, well, similar but not. So I'm going to start off, I found it easier starting off with this inside panel. So I've cut my inside panel to go in there, and if you're wanting those measurements, let's just do those quickly for you. It is 10.2 by 14.2. You probably could make that a little bit, I just want to check this is folding. Yeah, maybe just make that a little longer if you want. It's up to you. It's your card. Okay. So I'm just going to glue this in, bring that into the camera. It's always tricky when you're recording without watching where things need to be. I might just center that with a gap at the top and the bottom. Then I took 2 pieces of the same paper, and it was also 14.8 down, and they are 4.8 each across. Of course, you could carry on if you wanted to carry on the scene, but I just wanted the alternative, or the contrast rather. Okay, excellent. So we've got this now, and then let's glue in these front panels, and these are the identical length and width to the other ones. And this time I decided to put this blue on the outside. Last in the other card, it's in the inside. I am going to need to get another pack of this paper because I have just about used it all up. Okay, so just giving that a good burnish. Excellent. Now we can work on our mechanism for inside. So again, I'm just going to burnish these fold lines. So this, you actually need this the opposite way, because this one is going to go out and that one's going to come in. I'll show you shortly. Oops. Sorry, I keep bending that. No, don't bend that, Bernie. Okay, bend and bend. So let me just give this a good burnish, and then what you've got is, it comes the opposite way and the opposite way. So what you're wanting is you're wanting it to look like a house square. Yeah, I don't know what you would describe that to be, but that's the mechanism. That's what you're wanting. Okay, so we're going to keep putting paper on those 4 squares, and I actually cut up the sky of that paper. I just thought that was a fun thing to do, so I'm going to pop that on there. There's some beautiful, if you look at it, if you've got this paper, there's some really pretty swirls, which I like. So it's not a boring peach pie. It's got a bit of, got a bit of character to it. Okay. Now, in the lady's original, she didn't have anything in the center. And the first time obviously I cased it and I made it, and I was like, oh, actually I don't like it that it's plain in the center, especially when we've got these papers. So I had already glued everything, and I had to get it so that it was, undo it and do it again. So you can leave that plain. You don't have to do that. Don't have to put anything in it. Okay. In the middle, I've got a little square, so let's do the stamping for that. I'm just getting my mat, and I'm just going to show you a little masking technique. So I'm using the Happy Birthday from the Beautiful Butterflies, but the whole thing doesn't fit. So it's a very easy fix. What you just do is you mask off. If you've seen this before, you'll know what I'm going to do, but maybe you're watching this and you're relatively new to stamping and you've never seen this before. So what you're going to do, just checking my stickies enough, you're just going to ink up the bit you want first. You're removing your mask. Oops, that's not straight. And then you're going to stamp, my stamper skew, stamp the happy. Wonderful. Now make sure you clean it really well, otherwise it's going to ghost on And now we're going to cover up the part that says, actually I'm just going to straighten that while I'm doing that. Now you're covering up the part that says happy and inking up the birthday, removing the masking paper, the stickiness, straightening up your stamping. And the beauty of these clear blocks is you can see exactly where you're going, and you've got yourself a happy birthday. And I've stamped that in the brand new Secret Sky, which is a new in color. All right. Helpful tip, always put your stamp sets away straight after you've finished using it so that you don't lose it. Okay, now we just put that to the side, bring that back in, and then we can, whoops, glue that in place. And now we can do the mechanism. So fold it, fold it, fold it, so that you've got the back panel. And just get your card nice and straight. Put that, I don't want it on the boats, put that in the middle. Of course, if I didn't have boats, I could have brought that down lower, but because I have the boats, I don't want that being missed out. Just make sure. Uh-oh, I've got the wrong one. Uh-oh. Okay, lift, lift, lift. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Quickly, quickly. Lift, lift, lift. I didn't fold that correctly now, did I? Okay, so let's do that properly. That one needs to go out. There we go. Okay, so this is the part. Make sure the part with the happy birthday is the part going down. All right, now I need to just be careful. Gosh, I always seem to muddle up this card every time I'm making it. Okay, coming out. That's better. All right, there we go. There's our mechanism. So this will just I'll need to be very careful that I don't. What I'm going to do is I'll let that glue get dry, and then I will actually rub it off with my glue eraser. But for now, I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on that little panel, that 1 centimeter panel, and I'm bringing this over. Okay, just firming it down. And release. So once that's dry, I'll just bring my glue eraser. Now we can open this one up, bring that in, glue over here. What I'm doing is I'm just keeping it within the width of that square, and that goes down. Okay, once again, give it a good burnish, and our mechanism is good to go. All right, I just want to give that a really good burnish. Okay, let's work now on doing the back panel. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to the side. We're going to work on this back panel for now. So for that, I've got a piece of basic beige, and it's 10.5 by 14.5. I want to bring back my stamping mat. And we're going to do a bit of a masking technique for this one. So I'm using the big stamp from the gallery Blooms. I'm going to ink this in Memento ink because I want to use my blends. So yeah, pretty much feels the same as what I did with my little mini album. So I'm going to stamp these flowers, excuse me, flowers down on my basic beige. Okay. And then with the matching die, it has a die that comes with it as part of a bundle. If you want to buy the bundle, I am going to cut myself out of some masking paper I've already done it. I'm going to cut myself a mask. Now do make sure that when you cut this, if you're going to do this card, that you make sure the sticky side is the bit that you're peeling down, because I cut it the first time and I didn't, and so my flower that I die cut was opposite, but I can use it again in a different card. Okay, so I've got my mask on, and I'm now going to bring in some pecan pie. I'm just looking for a stamp. I'm using the stamps, the big one from Elements of Text. And I'm just going to ink up some of that text, position it over that mask. I'm going to just leave that pecan pie open for now, because I'm going to come back and very gently remove the mask. And now I've got my text in the background, and I can reuse this masking paper several times over until it's pretty much seen better days. So I will do that. Okay, now I want to bring in some of these blends, and I just want to do some blending and some coloring in. So I'm using my all-time favorite Old Olive, and I'm just coloring it in. Very loosely, and some dark Old Olive just here and there on the sides, and we'll blend that in shortly. So this is what it's looking like. I'm going to come back with that light, and I'm just going to blend in the light. So I've been going through this stage of, this is sort of the mood I've been in lately, this vintage vibey mood. Well, is it a stage? I do tend to like vintage vibe stuff. These colors, yeah, that's probably where the mood has come in, that I'm using these petal pink sort of colors. I did it on my album last week, but also it lends itself to that because of the paper colors. And you know what? I'm just going with it because this is what I want to do. This is what I feel like, and I enjoy doing, just following what I feel like doing. Okay, so I'm using the dark petal pink, just bringing in some shading on my petals, some darker petal colors here at the bottom. Alright, so this is what it looks like. And then I'm taking the dark Calypso Coral, and I'm just coming in the center. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave that. Now I'm bringing back that pecan pie with my blending brush, and I'm going over the bit that I have just colored in, as well as around the edges of my cardstock. And this is where it starts to get that grungy feel, that vintagey vibe. Okay, I like that very much. So that's what it's looking like. I can now glue this onto my back. Oh, that looks a little bit longer. Okay, so maybe I actually cut that other one a bit shorter. I'm just going to shimmy this over. Oopsie. I'm going to shimmy this over, and I'm going to just trim this back need to just come in there. Okay, so obviously these measurements, I remember what I did was, because this one didn't meet in the middle and it was bothering me, I made these 1 millimeter longer, and of course I forgot that I'm losing 1 millimeter at the back. But that's okay. I'm just going to grunge this edge up. Nobody is going to know. There we go. All right. So that extra mil, hasn't really helped. So you can just decide if you want them overlapping or what you want to do there. Okay, we've got one more step, and that's to stamp the front. And I'm going to stamp that in the pecan pie. This one I stamped in crumb cake, and I think it's too light. So I'm going to do this one now in the pecan pie rather. And let's color those in and see how that looks with the slightly darker color. Again, the old olive and the light and the dark. And I'm just coming in again to blend. And once again with my petal pink. These look like rosebuds on the front of this one. And I'm just dotting the color in now with the darker one, as opposed to strokes. I'm just doing some dots. And Calypso Coral, I'll just very lightly touching the nib on the top of those rosebuds, like super. I can hardly feel the pressure on the pen in my, okay, and I may just come back as that's the dark. Actually, let's see how that goes. Let's just pull that through very, very gently. Of course, you're not using the ink that you usually would use. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, let's get that matching die, which is this one in the pack. And just get my repositional tape. Great. So hopefully by the time I come back live next week, my new products will have arrived. I've ordered quite a few new exciting ones, so I'm looking forward to having a play with them. I had hoped to have them today to play with, but anyway, it's all good. It's all good. We can make this card. It'll be a good birthday card. Yes, that pops a lot better. Excellent. Well, let's just finish this card up, shall we? So I've got some of my linen thread. Okay, and I'm just using my fingernails to straighten it, creating a bit of a tail. This is what is called a tammy bow. Or actually, that tail's a bit long. It doesn't leave me. So Tammy Wilson, for those of you that are demonstrators, or maybe not even, Tammy Wilson makes the most beautiful bows, and so it's now known, this style of bow is now known as a Tammy Wilson or a Tammy bow. So I'm just, my fingers are full of that glue that I glued wrong, so now they're all sticking. So I'm just sticking this through that middle bit and giving it a tug. Okay, hopefully that was all on camera. Giving it a tug and separating these ears of the bow. I love how her bows turn out. All right, nice. find your, it has a better front or back to it. Just find which one you like. Glue dot. We're almost finished. Pop that in. Actually, this paper really is making a big difference compared to the one that other one. However, my glue dot and my linen thread are not working together. Come on, guys, cooperate. Right, mini. Oh, I brought up the wrong mini dimensionals. Okay, let's just get the minis. Snip these on the side. I can hear my tummy's rumbling. So I think it's time to go and have lunch after I've finished doing this recording. And Rich had lunch earlier because he's got to leave soon. And I'm smelling it going through the house. We had chicken pie last night, homemade chicken pie. And I love chicken pie. So that's all I'm smelling. Okay. Let's bring in these gorgeous pressed flower motifs. I went with the little ones because it's a little flower. I think it would overwhelm it if it was bigger. I could actually do with a size smaller than this, but it doesn't come in it. So we will work with this size. And tuck it in there. And there we have it. Get that off my finger. Move that to the side. And there we've got it. I think this paper and that paper just sing beautifully. So here we go, guys. Here's your happy birthday card. Turn it over. You've got your gorgeous background that you can do it in. So blue or a more moody. This actually might, it's got a flower on it, but it could possibly pass as a masculine card. Maybe. So a couple of things to note here. On this one was the exact 6.3 from start to the end. This one I made it a little bit longer and you get that crossover, which actually is quite pretty. If you don't know that it looks like that, you wouldn't know any better. So it depends on what you like more. I actually like these colors more, to be honest. All right, there we go. Fun fold card for you to enjoy. Hopefully I'll give the gallery blooms a rest next week and we can do something something fun together using other product. But thank you so much for watching. Please remember to give this video a like. It just helps the algorithms. Share it if you want to inspire some of your friends. And if you're watching and you're not yet subscribing to my channel, do click on the subscribe button and hit the bell so that you get notifications on when I go live. And if you want weekly inspo, subscribe to my newsletter. The link for that will be below. Thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you live next week. Bye.